Hey, I'm Vesper from the Squawk Squad, and today we're talking about some awesome techs for Regidrago. People complain that Regidrago is too boring, too basic, too easy of a deck to play, right? There's not many options. But what if I told you there's a few certain techs you could play that honestly, with the right locals meta, could honestly just win you your locals. This is for the Stellar Crown format, not Surging Sparks, so no LO Executor or anything. But yeah, these are the techs. First one, Northern EX. It carries all of like the big basic decks, stuff like Raging Bolt, Thorns, Miraidon, Terapagos. Although Terapagos you less want to be using Covert Flight and more want to be using Dominating Echo if they have no special energy in play when you use Noivern, because then they can't just Dusk Noir to win, and they can't like swing with Pidgeot or anything. They're essentially just locked out of the whole game, and they just can't do anything. Unless they can trap something in, so just make sure you have nothing that is trappable. It can help in Guardy in a board state where you can force them to swing with Guardy and then he could hit back with Tina for knockout. It could be very useful because all their attackers are basic. Same within Moon. Moon, you force them to gouging, and then if they don't have booster on, if they gouge with 2 different moons, you can possibly take all 6 of your prizes in 1 turn. If you Dragon Bolt on the Squawk, do 30-30 to the moons with damage. And then Lost Zone, they have Sableye to damage you, but Sableye is honestly just really slow. Lost Zone plays like Prime Catcher, and they can find it pretty easily with just like all of the cards they have to dig through their deck. So they could just like gust stuff up and kill them, but most Lost Zone decks, especially like the Secret Box, like Sablezard builds, will be forced to just swing with Sableye, and Sableye is just so slow that it's not doing much a lot of the time unless like sniping your Ogre Pawns. But just like, oh well, they kill 1 Ogre Pawn, so what? Next one is Haxorus. Haxorus, it can auto-win Lugia and Terapagos. Lugia's a bit more difficult because they can set up before you, and if they do, you can kind of be fucked, but Haxorus still just kills everything they have. You can like one-shot Lugias before they can do anything. And like they can't rely on Mist. If you're playing Temple, they can't rely on Mist, which most of us are playing Temple. And that's it with Terapagos. All they play is Special Energy, unless you're going against like Trumpet Terapagos, but no one plays that. So yeah, and then Miraidon, Moon, and Thorns all are above 200 HP, so it just helps you one-shot them. As well, if Miraidon is playing DT, like if they have the DT in play, or Thorns usually has DT in play, you can just bring down the axe, one-shot them. And Moon, it doesn't help Moon as much as the other two, but it still helps. Shred attackers can be good. If you have a lot of stall or control at your locals, I mean, if you're going to free locals mostly, you hopefully shouldn't, although I know at mine there's like a couple Snorlax players. They carry Cornerstone. Cornerstone is like completely free if you have these, because they're just not going to be able to out-damage you. Especially with Giratina, because you're two-shotting the Noivern. Oh no, you're two-shotting with Koraidon. Never mind. Yeah. And then like, they can't carry stall completely or control, but it really helps with those. And the occasional Gardevoir with Mimikyu, it also helps with. And really any deck that's running Mimikyu, you know, the occasional Flygon, you never know. Guja VSTAR. Guja's not like the best card ever anymore, just because Dusk Noir is so prevalent, but not bad. Like if your locals are full of these matchups like Thorns, Bolt, Zard, Lugia, Guardy, Lost Zone, and the Mirror, you can prevent 1-shots and 2-shots with Guja, and hitting 200 damage is like really solid. And it essentially forces like Thorns to hit you 3 times, and like Bolt to have an extra 2 energy, I think. Yeah, it's not like the biggest auto win card ever, but if your locals are like completely full of these, especially like Lost Zone and Lost Zone and Guardy, because then you're and like the mirror, because then you're like actually providing one shots all the time. It's pretty good. Next one, not a Pokemon this time, Scoop Up. I personally play Scoop Up in my list. I think it is the better ace spec, especially just with how I like to play the deck. It helps. It helps decent few matchups. It helps stall and control a lot because it's just an extra switching card. An extra switching card that also makes it so I can't gust the thing up again, and you can obviously like reuse it with Legacy Star. It helps Palt. You can pick up your active or the bench with damage because they're not one-shotting anything, or they're hopefully not one-shotting anything unless they like boss up a Squawk or a Mew. Although most of the time, Mew's probably not the best idea to put down in those matchups. And same thing with Zard, Thorns, because these are a bunch of decks that aren't going to be one-shotting you, except maybe the Mirror, but if you're running something like Gudra, then they won't be one-shotting you, you just scoop it up again. Same with Noivern, you can just checkmate games really easily. If you Noivern with your Drago and then just scoop up everything that they can gust up. The final one is Briar. It's just here, if you're against anything that's grass weak, so Zard and Moon, you can always take a 3-prize turn on them with Briar and possibly win the game. Mainly with Charizard because they actually play single prizes when they're like evolving up, and you're probably going to be hitting it to them with Dragapult. So if they're down to 2 prizes, you can just Briar, Ogerpon, attack Charizard, and win the game if you have 3 prizes left. So it's pretty good in those matchups, but I would only put this if your locals is completely filled with them, because otherwise it is essentially just another dead card in your deck. Because you shouldn't be attacking with Ogerpon too often. If you're forced to attack with Ogerpon in a matchup where it's not like one-shotting anything, then you failed, essentially. Like, something's gone wrong with the deck. So yeah, if you need something really awesome and cool to put in your Drago deck, just put one of these guys in there. Like if your locals meta like calls for it.